Yes, sir, you can start. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I have made you host also.
Fine.
Okay. At any
So, shall
point
I?
of time you log out, you can just see to that the video is recorded, or you can just inform me. Fine. Thank you.
Fine, sir. Fine. So, shall I start now?
Please.
Good evening, one and all. I am SK Nagul Mira. Now, I am going to start signals and system subject, which is a basic subject for different subjects like communication systems and digital signal processing, digital image processing, all these kind of subjects. We need to have the knowledge of signals and systems. So, in this course, what I will discuss is first, I will discuss signals, and then a detailed discussion of systems, and there are three kinds of transforms: Fourier transform, Laplace transform, Z transform. Of course, here itself I will discuss Fourier series, and then there is some digital signal processing concepts like fast Fourier transform and filter design. This is our course structure. We need to discuss one by one in detail. So today I am going to discuss this first module, that is signals. So let us start our discussion with signals. So starting with the definition of a signal, I'll first define the signal. So the signal can be defined as it is a function of one or more independent variables that conveys some information based on a physical phenomena. So any physical phenomena definitely should have some information. So the signal conveys that information. To convey that information, of course, we use a mathematical expression or a graphical representation. So here we have to discuss in this chapter. First thing is we need to discuss clearly about elementary signals, what we have in this. And then what are the operations we can perform on these signals? And classification of signals. And of course, I will do some exercise problems followed by gate previous problems. So this is what we are going to discuss in this module, signals. So first let us discuss elementary signals. There are 10 basic elementary signals we need to discuss in this subject, signals and systems. So one by one, I will discuss each signal with a mathematical expression and a graphical representation, some information about those individual signals. First, let us discuss the signal, impulse signal. This signal is also called as Dirac delta function. See, this function is defined like this. Its amplitude is infinity at t is equal to 0 and its amplitude is 0 if t not equal to 0. And combinedly, the area of the signal should be equal to 1. This is what the definition of the impulse signal or Dirac delta function. A complete definition, you can say, a complete definition of Dirac delta function. So in GATE 2007, we clearly asked the definition of this Dirac delta function. Just I am giving you the brief introduction how they have asked the question. They asked the definition like this. They have given the amplitude is infinity at t is equal to 0 in option A. In option B, amplitude is 1 at t is equal to 0. In option C, amplitude is infinity and the area is equal to 1. In option D, it is given amplitude is 1 and area is equal to 1. So the option C is the correct one. The definition, Dirac delta function definition they ask. So we can observe amplitude should be infinity, not 1. This is for Dirac delta function or impulse signal, the basic version. How it is defined, just I will give you a brief introduction here. A rectangular function, if you consider, assume the width is some delta and the height here. To get the area of this rectangle is equal to 1, this must be 1 by delta, because here area is equal to height into width, delta into 1 by delta should be equal to 1. So since area is equal to 1, this is unit impulse function. This is defined as unit impulse function. Observe here the width, it should be very small. Because the signal, if you observe, it having amplitude infinity at only single instant t is equal to 0. We observe the graph of impulse function on x-axis always in the signals t time, and the graph it is represented like this. Impulse function is represented like this. At t is equal to 0, the signal exists. If t not equal to 0, the signal does not exist. This is what the graph of impulse function. So this is indicated with del of t. If it is del of t, the amplitude here, we can take it as 1. If it is some k into del of t, then the amplitude, you can take it as k. Then here arrow mark indicates why arrow mark is used means the amplitude can extend up to infinity. That is what the meaning. So why it is used the arrow mark means the arrow mark indicates the amplitude maximum value, it can go up to infinity. So like that impulse function is derived. Actually, it is not a practical function. It is only introduced for the purpose of analysis of the systems. So for the mathematical interpretation of the analysis of the LTI systems, this impulse function is introduced theoretically. This is not a signal which is available in our laboratories. So you can observe here, the signal graph is like this. It just indicated with an arrow which exists at t is equal to 0. Fine. And this impulse function is introduced with some properties. Let us see the properties of this impulse function. We get the properties without proofs here. I'll give the properties one by one. Properties of impulse function. These properties repeatedly used in the subject, just like a minus b whole square formula in mathematics, how frequently they are used. Here in signals and systems, we should reuse these properties repeatedly. So one by one, I will introduce the properties of impulse function here. The first property we can say, area of the impulse function must be equal to 1. And the second property is del of minus t should be equal to del of plus t. It is the symmetry property. And scaling property, del of at is equal to 1 by mod a del of t. And we can also have the statement like this, del of at minus b, we have, it can be written as 1 by mod a del of t minus b by a. Both use the same meaning. So this is the scaling property of the impulse function. And fourth one, sampling property of the impulse function. Sampling property means here the impulse function, if it is multiplied with some other function x of t, this is called sampling property. Here we will get whenever x of t is multiplied with the del of t is equal to x of 0 into del of t. Or if x of t multiplied with del of t minus t naught, then it should be equal to x of t naught into del of t minus t naught. What you can observe here means, if a signal x of t, if it is multiplied with a delta function del of t, it should be equal to the delta function here at t is equal to 0. Its amplitude now, x of t amplitude at origin, that is x of 0. This should be the amplitude of the impulse function. This is the result. So an impulse function, after multiplying with x of t should not be there. Only impulse function remains, and impulse function amplitude, initially here it is 1, now it is x of 0. The multiplicand signal amplitude at origin. So this is what the sampling property says. So again, we will discuss this property in sampling theorem in detail. So this is called sampling property of impulse function. And fifth property, shifting property. So this is just integration of the above expression. Del of t multiplied by x of t, if we integrate from minus infinity to plus infinity, this is equal to x of 0. So here this statement is just integrated. So right hand side integration, del of t integration is equal to 1 from the first property. So obviously the remaining quantity x of 0. So remember, x of 0 is a constant value, amplitude value. And second statement, if we integrate minus infinity to plus infinity, x of t del of t minus t naught dt, it should be equal to, here also it is right hand side integration, x of t naught is a amplitude value or constant value, and impulse function, wherever it may be, its amplitude is 1. Area of this impulse function is 1. So that x of t naught remains. So this is the shifting property of impulse function. Very important one. Shifting property of impulse function, this is. And then the last property is convolution property. Here, x of t, if it is convolution with del of t, that is equal to x of t. And x of t, if it is convolution with del of t minus t naught, it should be equal to x of t minus t naught. And third case, x of t minus t1, if it is convolution with del of t minus t2, the result is x of t minus t1 minus t2. So this is what the convolution property of impulse function. You can observe the point here. It is after convolution, del function does not exist in the right hand side expression. Compare the fourth property and sixth property here. In fourth property, after multiplication, x of t does not exist in the result. Whereas in the convolution, del of t does not exist in the result. So a small difference, we should observe this point. This is first case, multiplication. In the second case, it is convolution. Convolution is a different mathematical operation on signals. We clearly discuss about convolution separately later. It is a very good topic and a very, very important topic. With the sufficient examples, I will explain in detail about this convolution operation in future classes. Fine. Please all of you note these properties carefully and try to by heart here itself. Every property is going to reuse in future topics. So all the 6 properties are very important for us. So I think you have noted all these 6 property statements. I'm going to the next phase. Yes. So that is the first signal. What we have discussed so far is out of the basic elementary signals. There are 10 different signals we have. The first signal, very important signal, is impulse function. That impulse function we have discussed now. Now the second function or second signal, here signal or function can be used interchangeably. Excuse me. So the second function is unit step function or unit step signal. The unit step function is indicated with the symbol u of t. Some standard signals having a separate symbol with that. Some signals may not have the separate symbol. Here unit step function is indicated with u of t. Its definition, the mathematical expression is u of t is equal to 1 for t greater than or equal to 0. It is equal to 0 for t less than 0. Simply on the graph, on x-axis time t always, here the signal u of t plot will be like this. T greater than or equal to 0 means right hand side. Its amplitude is equal to 1. Whereas t less than 0, left hand side. It is signal 0 or does not exist. So this is the u of t graph as per the definition. Now here I'm going to give you some information about signal terminology. Here we have original signal x of t. For that, some variations we must know here itself. That is, if the signal reflection we need, then how should we plot? If the signal inversion we need, how should we plot? Here u of t is there. So I want to reflect the signal u of t. That means we need u of minus t. Here reflection means x of minus t. Inversion means minus of x of t. Here, any signal or function f of t, here f is the dependent variable, t is the independent variable. We call that a dependent variable as signal. Independent variable can be any quantity which can vary independently, not depending upon any other parameter like our time, pressure, humidity, any physical quantity which can vary independently, not depending upon any other parameter. So even in our signal system, we are taking only time t on x-axis. So t is the independent variable here. So reflection means t should be multiplied with minus. Inversion means dependent variable is multiplied with minus n. So u of minus t, how we are plotting means, this is the plot of u of minus t. Simply the mirror image with respect to y-axis is reflection. Any signal reflection, if you want, take the mirror image with respect to the y-axis. Similarly, inversion, u of t inversion is written like this, minus u of t. Here inversion means this is the minus u of t signal. Here amplitude -1. Here it is 1 amplitude. So this is also mirror image with respect to the x-axis. This is called inversion of the signal. But obviously reflected inversion or inverted reflection, minus u of minus t will be in this quadrant with the minus. This variation we can call it as reflected inversion or inverted reflection. So what should we observe is just a signal. If you want the reflection, take the mirror image with respect to the y-axis. So here, mirror, for this signal, if you put the mirror here, mirror image with respect to y-axis, you will get this side. Similarly, if you want inversion of that signal, take the mirror on x-axis. If it is the mirror here, so this signal will be reflected this side. So this is inversion. Like that, any signal we can plot reflection and inversion like this. So with the help of u of t, I have explained this concept. Now we will go for the next signal. Unit ramp function. I hope all of you noted this one. The third signal, unit ramp signal or unit ramp function. It is indicated with R of t. So R of t is defined as it is equal to t for t greater than or equal to 0. It is equal to 0 for t less than 0. And graphically it is this is the ramp function R of t. So the ramp function is this. If you observe here, the signal x of t equal to t, if you want to plot x of t, if it is equal to t, plot will be like this. This is x of t equal to t plot, but R of t is not directly t, it is equal to t only right hand side of the graph. So left hand side signal amplitude is 0. That is what the small difference between R of t and t signal that must be known. And you can plot the reflection, inversion, and 3 variations for this graph. So reflection, if I want, it is R of minus t will be mirror image with respect to y-axis. And if I want inversion, that is minus R of t, the signal will be mirror image with respect to x-axis. So that you will get it this side. And reflected inversion minus R of minus t will get obviously in this direction. All are straight lines. That is the third signal unit ramp function. Now, the same way we can see the fourth function, it is unit parabolic function. It can be represented with the symbol P of t. So P of t parabolic function is defined like this. It is equal to t square for t greater than or equal to 0. And it is equal to 0 for t less than 0. And graphically it is the parabolic shape like this. And we can observe here that t square represents the parabolic shape. If it can be multiplied with some constant k, then this constant is nothing but the slope of the curve. So we get other parabolic function if we multiply with some other constant. That is some k1, k2. Here, unit parabolic function I have plotted k is equal to 1. So t square, whenever you get, the signal graph must be parabolic in shape. And based on the multiplication value k, slope may varies. Right. So now we can observe one point here it is, and I should say one point, singularity function. There is one function called singularity functions. What is the meaning of singularity functions means? It is a set of signals which are related among each other with the help of differentiations or integrations. So a set of signals which are related among each other with the help of differentiations or integrations, then we call those functions as singularity functions. Here one example for such singularity functions is, this is very important set, that is impulse function, unit impulse function. If we integrate, we will get unit step function. And unit step function, if we integrate, we will get unit ramp function. And a unit ramp function, if we integrate, we will get parabolic function. So these four signals related among each other with integrations like this. So this is set of four signals, we can take it as singularity functions. In the inverse manner, we can relate like this with the help of derivations. Parabolic signal, after derivation, we should get unit ramp function. After derivation of unit ramp function, we should get unit step function. After derivation of unit step function, we should get finally again delta function. This relation is very important for us in systems analysis. Again, I'll recall these relations. Very important. I'm going to the next page. So totally four signals we have discussed. I hope you have noted. So fourth signal over, now fifth signal. The fifth signal, it is exponential signal. Exponential signals having different forms here. First form, you see x of t is equal to e to the power of 0. We know that e to the power of 0 is equal to 1, and e to the power of minus infinity is equal to 0, and e to the power of plus infinity is equal to infinity. So here e to the power of 0 is 1. If this is multiplied with some constant k, so that this is called a DC function or a DC signal. We observe it is not depending upon the time t, just it is a constant. So the signal amplitude does not vary with the time. For all time t, it maintains constant amplitude. So this is what the DC signal. So DC signal, we can take it as a special case of exponential signal. And second variation, or the second form of exponential is exponentially decaying signal. Decaying signal, or we can also call it as exponentially falling signal. So it is of the form x of t is equal to e to the power of minus t. So the graph of this one, the waveform can be plotted like this. So here t is running from minus infinity to plus infinity. So if t is equal to minus infinity, So what is x of t value here means e to the power of minus infinity. So that is e to the power of plus infinity, that is equal to infinity. So from this, so the amplitude is starting from infinity in the left hand side, and it is exponentially decaying. Here t is equal to 0 means x of t value e to the power of 0. E power 0 means 1. So it crosses the y-axis, the intersection point, amplitude is 1. It decaying, and here t is equal to plus infinity, x of t value should be e to the power of minus infinity, that is equal to 0. So at infinity it touches 0. So the nature of this signal, if you observe, it is exponentially decaying. And the third form of this exponential signal, exponentially increasing. Exponentially increasing signal or exponentially rising signal. The graph of, or first of all, the mathematical equation for this signal is x of t is equal to e to the power of plus t. If you observe the graph, the same way, here it is e to the power of minus infinity, here it is e to the power of 0, here it is e to the power of plus infinity. So that here infinity, 1 and 0. It starts at 0 and passes through the y-axis with intersection at 1 and goes to infinity. That means it is nature of this signal is exponentially rising like this. So at minus infinity it is 0. At t is equal to 0, the amplitude is 1. At t is equal to infinity, the amplitude again goes to infinity. So it is exponentially increasing signal. And the fourth form of this exponential signal is e to the power of plus or minus j omega t. It is a complex exponential signal. You know the form? Complex exponential signal is cos omega t plus or minus j sin omega t. So this is a complex signal. We cannot plot the graph here. So these are the four forms of exponential signal. So these two are important. We reuse frequently. Second and third cases, exponentially decaying signal and exponentially increasing signal. The mathematical form is important for us. Right. So let's go to the sixth signal. I think you have noted. Sixth signal, it is sinusoidal signals. Most familiar sinusoidal signals. You know that it is A sin omega t or A cos omega t. So the waveform Both are sinusoidal signals, but the sine signal, sine 0 is 0, whereas cos 0 is 1. That is the only difference. The sine signal passes through origin here. Whereas cos signal having maximum value at origin. Here this is amplitude A, this is amplitude minus A. Here this is amplitude A, this is amplitude minus A. Here omega is the radian frequency. Radian frequency or angular frequency also we can call it. Its units are radians per second. Whereas F is cyclic frequency. So omega here is related with F like this. Omega is equal to 2 pi F, or F is equal to 1 by T, or 2 pi by T. Here T is the fundamental time period of the signal. So units are seconds. Here time period we can show on the graph like this. Means the duration of one complete cycle of the waveform. Here in this waveform we can observe repetition of particular basic part of the signal. The repetition of one cycle, or if you consider this is one cycle, this is the cycle duration, we call it as fundamental time period. We observe this time period, waveform is repeating throughout the time axis. For sine signal or cos signal, you can observe the fundamental part is repeating throughout the time axis. So these are sinusoidal signals. Sixth signal. So we can go for the seventh signal. That is signum function. I'll write here itself. Better I go for the next page because the continuation is mandatory here. So the seventh signal it is signum function. The signum function is represented with the symbol SGN of T. It is defined as it is equal to +1 right hand side, that is T greater than or equal to 0, and equal to -1 left hand side, that is T less than 0. And the graph, if we see right hand side it is +1, left hand side it is -1. This is a signum function waveform, and we know that this is U of T. This is minus U of minus T. We have discussed for the second signal. So if you combine these two signals, you'll get this signal is nothing but signum function. So we can write signum function in terms of the unit step functions like this, u of t minus u of minus t. Or there is one more expression for signum function, 2 u of t minus 1. So what we are doing is u of t function, the amplitude we are multiplying with 2, and a DC function 1, DC value 1 here, we are subtracting 1 from the 2 u of t. What we will get if we observe? Here signal 0, here amplitude plus 1, we are subtracting, so 0 minus 1, it is minus 1, left hand side. Right hand side if you observe, here plus 2 amplitude, here plus 1 amplitude, 2 minus 1, it is plus 1, that is right hand side. So this is also a signum function. So the second notation, or this equation, I use in Fourier transform. This is also important for us. The signum function can be expressed in terms of the u of t like this. Either 1 or 2 notations for this. That is the seventh signum function. Now, let's go for the eighth function, rectangular function. I'll write here. Rectangular function it is indicated with different symbols like this. A rect of t by tau, or a pi of t by tau, or a gate function, gate of t by tau. These three symbols we can use for the rectangular function, but preferably or most frequently we use this notation for rectangular function. The graph for this is the signal name itself indicates that it resembles a rectangle shape. So here tau indicates the width of the rectangular function, tau, and amplitude based on the given amplitude, here a total width tau, and this function is symmetric about the y-axis. Since it is symmetric about y-axis, here it is minus tau by 2, here it is plus tau by 2. Equal widths both sides. So this is a rectangular function, a rectangle of t by tau. Here this function assume here a value I am taking as 1. Rectangular function in terms of the unit step function we can express like this. U of t plus tau by 2 minus u of t minus tau by 2. So how do we express like this? So we'll explain in signals operations. After solving some exercise problems in signal operations, you can easily find out this kind of expressions. So for the timing, just to remember this rectangular function in terms of the unit step function, we can write like this. Or one more form we can express this rectangular function like this also. This is u of tau by 2 minus t multiplied with u of t plus tau by 2. So this also we can understand after completing the topic, signal operations. Right. This is the eighth function, rectangular function. So we can go for the ninth signal, that is triangular function. Hope all of you noted here. Going to the ninth signal, triangular function. Right. So ninth signal is triangular function. It is indicated with tri of t. Symbol we are using for triangular function is tri of t. First, I'll give you the graph. Again, this function should be of the shape triangle. Here, this is -1, this is +1, and amplitude is 1 at origin. This is the triangular function, tri of t. Here, to take the equation of triangular function, just I am suggesting you to observe the derivation of this expression, how we are taking. So this is one point. It is -1 comma 0. This is one point. It is 0 comma 1. So what is the slope of this straight line passing through these 2 points? So that slope is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That means 1 minus 0 divided by 0 minus of -1 plus 1. So here slope is 1. Here the slope of the signal is +1. Right? And on x-axis we have t. On y-axis we have tri of t. So we know that the straight line equation here it is y minus y1 is equal to slope into x minus x1. So y is here the required signal triangle of t. y1 here 0. Slope it is 1. X is t time index. X1 it is -1. X1. So if you substitute all the values, we will get the triangular function equation. Tri of t minus 0 is equal to 1 into t minus of -1 t plus 1. So triangular function, left hand side we get the equation 1 plus t. So in the left hand side, that is t less than 0. Similarly, in the right hand side, if you derive the equation, observe here rising slope. So right hand side it is falling slope, and coordinates will be similar coordinates. Here 1 comma 0, 0 comma 1. So obviously we should get falling slope means m value -1 will get here. Of course, we'll get the expression 1 minus t here for t greater than or equal to 0. So combining these two expressions for the triangular function, we express frequently like this. It is 1 minus mod t. We are combining these two expressions into a single expression by using an operator called modulus. So this modulus t operator we use to combine these two expressions into a single expression. What is the meaning of this mod t? Is mod t should be taken as +1, right hand side, and it should be taken as -1, left hand side. If t is negative, mod t should be -1. If t is positive, mod t should be +1. Observe. So mod t, if you plot the graph, you will get this. Because right hand side, it is positive. T is plus. It is plus t. Left hand side, it is minus t. Simply, triangular function 1 minus mod t, here 1. Here mod t like this. If we subtract, we will get triangular function. Anyways, this is just for analysis purpose. We have to remember that a triangular function expression, this box is important for us, 1 minus mod t. Or we should be clear about the expressions. Triangular function right hand side, left hand side equations. It is 1 plus t, left hand side, 1 minus t, right hand side. Since it is rising slope, plus, so 1 plus t in the graph. It is falling slope, 1 minus t. You can easily remember the expression for the triangular function like this. Now let us go for the last function, that is, hope all of you noted this. Going to the next page for the last function, 10th signal of basic elementary signals. Going to the next page. So the 10th function, it is actually it is a combination of two functions. Simply, I'll write sampling function or sync function. Very important signal. Sampling or sync function. Most important in the Fourier transforms, especially. This is very, very important for us. Sampling theorem and Fourier transform. So Fourier transform application is sampling theorem. We consider sampling theorem just as an application topic for Fourier transform. That's why I have not written separately in the course structure. Anyway, here sampling function, sync function, two different names, because here the basic function is single expression. That is a mathematical function we have like this, sin theta by theta. So from this mathematical expression, we take these two functions separately like this. Here, if theta is equal to t, we call this function as sampling function. It is represented with SA of t. Sampling function is SA of t. Sync function is sync of t. Here, theta is equal to, if it is pi t, then we call this expression as a sync function. So we write the equation for sampling function, sin t by t, and the equation for sync function it is sync t by, sorry, sin pi t by pi t. It is theta value is replacing with pi t. So it is sin pi t divided by pi t. This is a sinc function. Only difference is pi. The graph of these two functions, I'll plot simultaneously here. The sampling function and sinc function both are having same waveform. It is having one main lobe and infinite number of side lobes with a decreasing amplitude. So the plot is better. Take more height for the main lobe. Like this, you get a better interpretation. Right. So both are same waveform. So what is the difference is the value of the zero crossing points. Here zero crossing points. What is the zero crossing point means? It is the intersection point of the waveform with the time axis. So the value of this zero crossing point is differs from sampling point, sampling function and sinc functions. So how do you determine the zero crossing point values here means by using the formula, take that theta value, the initial expression sin theta, theta is there. The sin theta value, you take it as n pi. So if n value 1, you will get the first zero crossing point. If n value 2, you will get the second zero crossing point. So what is the t value? That much. For example, I am taking the sampling function here. In sampling function, theta is equal to t. We know that here theta is equal to t in sampling function. So that theta should be equated to n pi. That means t is equal to n pi here. If n value 1, we'll get the first zero crossing point. Then t value is equal to pi. So on time axis, the first zero crossing point value, we should take it as pi. If n value 2, t value is 2 pi. So the second zero crossing point value here, 2 pi. And so on. So here, third, 3 pi. Since the waveform is symmetric about the y-axis, left hand side, you just take minus pi, minus 2 pi, minus 3 pi, and so on. If you see the zero crossing point values in the sinc function, here theta value is equal to pi t, we know. So pi t, if it is equal to n pi, of course pi gets cancelled, and t value is equal to n. If n value 1, we will get the first zero crossing point, that is t is equal to 1. If n value 2, we will get t is equal to 2, and so on. That means here first zero crossing point value 1, second zero crossing point value 2, 3, and so on. Left hand side minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and so on. Amplitude, of course, 1 here. This is also 1 because amplitude is not given. So main lobe with height 1 and side lobes with decreasing amplitude but equal width. If you observe, side lobes equal width. It is equal width and decreasing amplitude. One main lobe and infinite number of side lobes. Side lobes are infinity. So this is the nature of sinc or sampling function. So determining zero crossing point is also very important for us. It is one gate previous question. They asked the zero crossing point values. for a particular expression which is in the form of sinc function. We have that. We will have this. We will discuss in future. So determining the zero crossing points also to be noted carefully. But if we observe waveforms should be same. Only difference is zero crossing point values. Here in sampling function, zero crossing points in terms of pi we have, but equation don't have pi. Whereas in sinc function, zero crossing points value does not consist of pi, but equation expression having pi. You can easily remember this thing. And most important signal in Fourier transforms and sampling theorem. So these are the basic elementary signals we need to know, and everybody should by heart these signals here itself before going to the coming topics. Every expression should be by hearted. Each equation and waveform should be noted, and you should remember all these things. Every point, each and every point will be used in future coming topics. I hope all of you noted this. So let us go to the next page for the next topic, signal operations. Operations on signals is very, very important for us. Is the heart of the subject, we can say, because without understanding the operations on the signals, we cannot understand the application concepts in future. So we must be familiar about the operations on signals, and as more as possible, exercise problems we should solve on signal operations. I will solve some complex exercise problems, and I will give you some assignment problems. You work out on those. If you have any doubt, you can come to me. But very, very important, take it very seriously, the operations on signals. So signal we have dependent variable, independent variable. You know that this is dependent variable and this is independent variable. We can perform the operations on the signals separately on dependent and independent variables. First, let us discuss the operations on dependent variable. What are the operations we can perform on the dependent variable of a signal means? First thing, we can perform the addition operation on the dependent variable of signal. That means to get a signal y of t, we can add two given signals x1 of t plus x2 of t. Second, we can perform multiplication operation. Just to get the product of two signals, we can directly multiply the given two signals like this. X1 of t multiplied with x2 of t. Here, dependent variables are multiplied. And scaling operation. With the help of some exercise problem, I will explain these operations separately. Just for the time being, take down the statements. Scaling operation. Scaling means just multiplying the signal with some constant value. The meaning of scaling is multiplying with constant. So here x of t, if it is multiplied with some constant k, it is called scaling of the amplitude dependent variable, because x is multiplied with k. Example you can take here itself. If you take an amplifier, if input signal is applied to the amplifier, you will get the output signal. Input signal amplitude is multiplied with some constant k. Here k is V output by V input. It is called gain of the amplifier. We know about the amplifier. So here what's happening means amplitude is scaling here. Frequency of the signal does not change in the output signal of the amplifier. We know frequency depending upon the independent variable time t. So that does not change. Only amplitude is changing k. So that is why this is operation on dependent variable. Similarly, the fourth operation that we can perform on the dependent variable of a signal is differentiation. Differentiation as an example, you can say, first of all, mathematically, we need derivation of the input signal like this. If we take inductor in the electrical circuits, for a given input signal Vi of t, if current I of t is flowing in the inductor, then voltage across the inductor we are taking as L into di by dt. So here the current signal is derivated to get the voltage signal. So we can perform the differentiation operation on the dependent variable of the current signal. In the similar way, we can perform the integration on the dependent variable. For that, y of t is equal to, it is of the form integration of x of t. We can consider one capacitor for which input signal Vi of t, current flowing through the capacitor is I of t. The capacitance value is C, then we know that the voltage across the capacitor is given by the expression 1 by C integral of I of t dt. Here the current signal is integrated to get the voltage signal. So we can perform the integration on the dependent variable of a signal. Like this, 5 different operations we can perform on the dependent variable of a signal. So let us see the addition and multiplication operations with the help of one example. If this is u of t, x1 of t, and this is second signal x2 of t, we are adding these two signals, that is x1 of t plus x2 of t. Then the graph will be just at each and every instant of time, we should add the amplitudes. That is what the meaning of addition operation on the dependent variable. So here 0 to 1, it is 1 amplitude, and here also 0 to 1, it is 1 amplitude. So 1 plus 1, 2. So from 0 to 1, after addition operation, the amplitude is 2. So after 1, here it is 0, but here the signal is 1. So 1 plus 0, it is 1. So 1 onwards, the signal amplitude is 1. So we are falling at the point 1, because here the second signal is 0. So addition operation means at each and every instant of time, we should add the amplitudes of the given two signals. Simple meaning. In the same way, multiplication. x1 of t multiplied by x2 of t. At each and every instant of time, we have to multiply the signals. The amplitude should be multiplied. Here 1, here 1. So 0 to 1. Both are having non-zero amplitudes, that is 1 and 1. So 1 multiplied by 1, 1. That is from 0 to 1. After 1, the signal amplitude is 0 here, 1 is here. 1 multiplied by 0, 0. So that the amplitude is coming to 0 after 1. So this is the result of multiplication of these two signals. The simplest example I have taken for you just for the understanding and defining the operations. So later while solving the exercise problems, we will get a complex signals. So we'll go for the next independent variable operations now. Hope all of you noted. So dependent variables, 5 individual operations I have given here. Simple ones, dependent variables means, but independent variable we should take care of. We should be careful about independent variable operations. Now I'm going to explain the independent variable operations. So operation on independent variable of a signal. So x of t, here t, independent variable. We have to perform operation on t. So there are two types of operations we can perform on the independent variable of a signal. That is, first one, scaling we can perform. Second one, shifting we can perform. Scaling means, as usual, the meaning of scaling is multiplying with some constant. So here y of t is equal to x of kt. Scaling is of the form x of kt because t is multiplied with k. So independent variable is scaling. The operation is scaling here. Here we have to note that k value, if it is greater than 1, that operation is called as compression operation. Whereas k value, if it is less than 1, that operation, we should call it as expansion operation. Shifting, similarly, shifting operation, it is of the form y of t is equal to x of t plus or minus t naught. So x of t plus or minus t naught. If you take plus t naught, that operation is called as left shift operation. If you take minus t naught, that operation is called as right shift operation. Fine. So I'll take one example waveform and I'll explain these two operations with respect to that example. Simplest waveform, let us take, that is x of t. I am giving now like this. This x of t is a rectangular function from -2 to +2 with the amplitude 1. Observe, while performing independent variable operation, dependent variable should not change. So here 1 means scaled version, shifted version, both should have amplitudes 1 only. Only thing is independent variable t is varying. How it varies? Let us see here. So for this x of t, let us plot first x of 2t, second x of t by 2, and third x of 3t minus 5. Let us plot these three variations for the given signal x of t. First, let us, so along with this, so first let us plot 1 and 2, and then shifting also I'll give here itself. Fourth, x of t plus 4. Fifth, x of t minus 4. Let us plot first 1, 2, and 4, 5, and then let us discuss about 3, because 3 is one important point to be observed here. So first signal x of 2t, to plot it, observe what I am doing here. So let us follow this notation throughout the subject. So everybody have their own analysis to plot this kind of signals. I will explain like this and I will follow like this for the simplification in future. So first x of 2t I am going to plot. X of 2t. I will take x of t. What is x of t means? -2 to +2. This is x of t. To plot x of 2t, here t is multiplied with 2. So I will divide with 2 each and every instant of the signal. So that this is equal to -1, this is equal to +1. So the signal, what I get is -1 to +1. Here the original signal width, if you observe, this is 4. So width is equal to 4 for the signal x of t. Now x of 2t I have plotted. What is the width of this signal means? -1 to +1. It is width 2. So compared to 4, 2 is lesser value. So the signal is compressed. Because here K value is 2. This is the K value 2. That means K value greater than 1 is called compression. Here we have noted. Similarly, x of t by 2. To plot this kind of signals, what I am doing, see, x of t I am taking. This is x of t. So t divided by 2 here. So I will multiply with the 2 each and every instant of time. So that here I will get -4, here I will get +4. So the signal x of t by 2, it is -4 to +4. What is the width? It is 8. So width is equal to 8. So compared to 4, here width 8 is more. So it is expanded. So the signal expansion, because K value here is 1 by 2. You can treat this one as t multiplied by 1 by 2. So K value is less than 1. That's why it is expansion. So that this is I have noted K less than 1 is expansion. And then shifting operations we can perform first. I will just note the waveform here above the shifting title. Just observe here. Why? Let us go to the next page. What I have given is x of t minus 4, x of t plus 4 for shifting version. X of t minus 4, x of t plus 4, both signals we are going to plot now. I'm going to the next page. I think all of you noted. Right. The fourth one, we are going to plot x of t plus 4. First I have given, and then fifth one, x of t minus 4 I have given. So first consider x of t, both cases. This is -2 to +2. The signal given is like this. Here t is added with 4. So what we should do means here subtract with 4. Here +4 means take -4. So that this instant where should we get means -2 minus 4. This is -6. Here 2 minus 4, it is -2. So starting instant -6, ending point is -2. Now we can plot the signal x of t plus 4. So I am going to plot x of t plus 4. So here starting is -6 and it ends at -2. So compared to the original signal x of t, here x of t -2 to +2. So for this signal, this is left shifted version we can observe. Compared to original signal, the signal is shifted leftwards. So this operation is left shift because here +4. We observe that +T0 if we take, it is left shift operation. Similarly, here you can see here -4 is there. The second fifth problem. So -4 means here each and every instant you can take +4 here +4. Then this instant will become 4 minus 2, 2. This is 4 plus 2, 6. So the graph will be starting at +2, ending at +6. 2 to 6. So compared to the original signal x of t, this signal is right shifted because here -T0 is considered, -4. Like that, shifting operation we can perform on the given signal. Plus means +T0 means left shift, -T0 means right shift. The simplest example for this is this one. And we left the third plot, that is x of 3t minus 5. To plot that signal, x of 3t minus 5. Let's go to the next page. Hope all of you noted. Right. I'm going to plot the third signal here. X of 3t minus 5. Now, which kind of operation is performed on the signal x of t? So if it is x of t, t is multiplied with 3. That means here k value 3 greater than 1 means compression. And minus 5 is there. That means minus T naught indicates minus T naught. Minus T naught indicates right shift. So one thing is compression operation and other thing is a right shifting. Which one should be performed first? That is the question. Compression and then right shift, or right shift and then compression. We can perform in these two orders. I am giving you as exercise. You perform this combination once and next this combination once. Check whether you are getting both are same waveforms or not. Definitely, first waveform is not equal to second waveform. That means x of 3t minus 5 needs which order? Either first one or second one, we should be confirmed because both are not same. We are getting different signals if you change the order of the operation. So scaling we need to perform first or shifting we need to perform first, we should confirm it. For that, we need one particular order that is specified by precedence rule. What the precedence rule says means about the operations on independent variable, perform always shifting first, scaling next. Must be followed. Very, very important for us, precedence rule, and this combination regularly coming in future. So first what you have to do means plot the signal x of t minus 5 and then the resultant signal perform compression 3 into what it is there. This is what the order we need to perform. So first, if we shift the signal right side by 5 units, what I will get? Here minus 5 is plus 5 plus 5, you can take 5 minus 2, 3, 5 plus 2, 7, 3 to 7. This is the signal shifted version. And then scale it. For scaling, what should we do? Here it is multiplying with 3. So we have to divide here with 3. So the first instant it is 1. And next instant it is 7 by 3. 1 to 7 by 3 means 2.3 something. So this is scaling of shifted version. So this is what the signal x of 3t minus 5. If you get the first signal, that definitely is not equal to this wave. So since the time is 9:30, so the remaining part we can discuss in the next class. So before that, I am suggested to give some exercise problems as assignment for you. I'll write the assignment problems here. Tomorrow, after solving some exercise problems, everybody, you can easily solve this. And now with this knowledge also, you can solve these problems. So try to plot first assignment problem. Plot x of t is equal to r of t plus 2 minus r of t plus 1 minus r of t minus 1 plus r of t minus 2. Here r of t is a ramp function. Precedence rule I will discuss it tomorrow also. Please don't worry about that. If you don't understand precedence rule properly, tomorrow we will have further discussion about the precedence rule. So here second assignment problem for you, it is plot the signal u of 1 minus mod t multiplied by signal function. Third one, plot x of t is equal to minus u of t plus 3 plus 2 u of t plus 1 minus 2 u of t minus 1 plus u of t minus 3. Just these three problems you tried. If you want me to explain tomorrow in the class, I will explain this also, not a problem. These are very important problems in the gate previous problems point of view. If you can solve these problems, in many gate previous problems you can solve. So I am supposed to take the class up to 9:30. So I am winding the class here. So bye to all of you, all of you students. Good night to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.